A very good evening to everyone who have logged in on today's session. As you all know, we are in the fourth week of the ATL Tinkerpreneur, and today's session is a very interesting session for our young innovators. Today's session is on how to design a winning business model. And we have Dr. Snehal Shetty and Mr. Srirag Rajan joining us today. Dr. Snehal is the CEO of Amrita TBI, while Mr. Rajan is the incubation manager there. Established in 2008, Amrita TBI is a joint venture of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham with the Department of Science and Technology and focuses on incubating startups in the area of information technology, cybersecurity, networking, and social media, among others. It is also an AIM incubator and has time and again supported various ATL initiatives, one of them being the ATL Student Innovator Program. On behalf of Atal Innovation Mission team, I welcome Dr. Snehal and Mr. Rajan for today's session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Nava. It's an honor to be here and working with the Atal Innovation Mission. We are an EIC under AIM Niti Aayog, and we have been associated with Atal Tinkering Lab for the last 4 years. So it is really a privilege to work with young creative minds, not only in the southern India, but across India. We have worked with so many students across various schools. So really happy to be here and really happy to walk you through this presentation that I have. It's a long presentation. I'll try to move as fast as possible. And then I think in the end we have Q&A. So let me start the presentation. Can you see my presentation, Naba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I'm Snehal Shetty. I'm from Amrita Technology Business Incubator. This is an incubator supported by Government of India and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Across the Government of India support, we're supported by Niti Aayog, AIM Niti Aayog, and also by DST and METI as well, and MSME. We have been in business since 2008, so it's about close to 13 years that we have been doing incubation. We have incubated startups, incubated close to 200 startups, mentored over 400 startup ideas, and our startups are across 10 plus states across India. And some of these startups have done really well, raised funding both in India and also US, Silicon Valley, and have customers not only in India but across the globe. Without spending too much time on introduction, I'll straight away get into the subject since we have very less time. The topic that I'm going to cover today is designing a winning business model. So this is one of the most critical aspects that come into play when you finally build a interesting product or solution. But before getting to build an interesting business model or a winning business model, there is one key aspect, and that is how do I build a product or a solution that is of interest and of value to my end users. So as Atal Tinkering Lab students, you have built so many solutions. So many of you have come with so many creative ideas. And the ideas that eventually succeed are the ones which have a customer or an end user that is getting benefited by your solution. So if that end user or customer really needs your solution or is really looking for that pain point that you're solving, then your solution will automatically become a winning business model. So the critical aspect of building a good solution or listening to the customers, there's a framework for that. And that framework is called as design thinking. For the next few slides, I'll cover what does design thinking mean. Then we'll get into the business model, building a strong business model. And then we'll combine these two aspects, the last few slides, as to how these two aspects come together and gel together to build a very good value proposition. You may have, the next slide shows a football. So you have seen this football It looks like regular any football you would be playing on the playground. But this football is called a socket. It was designed several years back by students just like you in US. Um, the African continent, or African subcontinent, is mired with darkness. Electricity is a big problem there. So these students from US, they designed a football where during the day you can play and kick around with the football. It has kids, you could kick and play around with the football. It will store energy. So the kinetic energy that you do by kicking the football is stored in the ball, and in the night, that same could be used as a light by the student. Okay, so this improves um, the this improves the visibility of the this improves the this becomes a football during the day, but later on I think I need to make it full slide. That's what Naba says. Okay, I hope this is better. So during the day it's a football, and then in the night it can be used for as a light for reading, where current is an issue. This was so appreciated that the president of US actually supported this idea. The next one, this looks like a solution. You cannot keep a spoon or a fork in a pocket, right? So someone came with a solution. They had a small chain. This spoon is flexible and fits in very easily in your pocket. But what's the problem with this solution? Though it's a good solution, it solves the problem of putting a spoon in your pocket. It's not useful, right? You cannot really use the fork to pick up anything. So this is an example of a bad solution. Next slide. If you're having coffee or tea or chai and you want to eat cookies or biscuits along with it, you cannot hold the tea cup or the coffee cup. It's a good idea to have a place to put that cookies or biscuits in the cup. But there's a problem in this. If you're using the left hand to drink the tea or coffee, those biscuits or cookies would fall off. So this is an example of a bad solution. The reason I'm showing you one good and few bad solutions is so that you can understand how solutions are actually built. There's no dearth of ideas in the world. Every minute there are like 100 plus ideas coming by everyone, but eventually should solve the customer's problem. So the second and third solutions you saw were not actually solving customer problems. This is a very smart solution. This is a solution for people who have the shaky hands, well, because of some nervous disorder, they cannot really hold a spoon in their hand. So this was a solution, very innovative solution, which would keep the spoon steady and in a horizontal position so that the food doesn't spill over. So even though your hand shakes, the spoon remains steady. So a person with this disorder, nervous disorder, can actually eat the food. So this is a great innovative solution. So what is design thinking? So we can think, we can build ideas, but how do we do it? By combining both. Design thinking framework is basically has 5 parts. It involves empathizing, which is basically understanding the needs of the end customer or end user. Defining, basically define what the actual problem is. Ideating, thinking of X number of solutions to solve that problem. Finally, building a quick prototype and seeing if that prototype and test that prototype with the end user to see if that solves the problem. If not, come back again to ideating and building a better solution. So this is the process for creative problem solving. So whenever you're building solutions, ATL has this innovation challenge, right? And we receive AIM receives over 1,000 plus, or I don't know, 2,000 plus applications every year. But when you build innovative solutions, always use design thinking framework has your basis to build a creative solution. Because once you build a creative solution, then there is no problem winning an ATL innovation challenge, nor it is no problem building a great product for the market. This is the same slide. It goes into more details of what each aspect is. But very first is you listen to the users, you define the problem, because that's where the problem definition gets affected, because though we listen to the users, we need to define it, what that actual problem is. And then you build 10 different ideas of how to solve that solution. Build a small prototype, test to the end user. If it doesn't work, you go back to either defining or ideating, or go back to the end user and building a better solution. So what is innovation? We talked about word innovation. From a definition perspective, innovation is the process of translating an idea or an invention into a good or a service that creates value for which customers will pay. So it is basically taking an idea or a solution, and that idea or solution should create value. It should be of use to the end user. For example, uh, all of you would have heard of Google, right? You all go on Google and search for things, right? So Google gives a value, uh, gives value for what you're looking for. Let us say you're looking for, I don't know, let's say looking for, it's the monsoon season, you're looking for umbrellas. You want to buy red umbrellas with a specific brand, and you find that specific brand. And you may probably buy it from Flipkart or Amazon or whichever, the site app has it. So that's the value that Google provides to you. Similarly, the phone, your mobile phone, very, very simply, the mobile phones provides a value in, listening and picking up calls and talking on the phone, right? So each product that has been, just look at the products around you. You will see each of those products which you have been using and been using repeatedly, those are adding value to you. The headset that you use while listening to music from your, from your PC or from your phone, that adds value to you. And so similarly, look around you, you will see the things that have been used a lot, they have been innovated, they have created value for you because they solve a certain problem or certain need that you had. What is business? Business might seem too complicated to you as a young kid, right, from in school. Business is basically taking that innovation that you have taken and taking it to the market and supplying that product or solution to the market. The market means anyone who is ready to take your service. In the world of Google, the market would be the internet. For Amazon, it would be the e-commerce market. So it is a market where you take that product or solution, and there are end users who are interested in your product or solution. This aspect is called business. It's not too complicated. It's just an add-on to take your solution from your room or from your ATL tinkering labs in your school to the end user who needs it. That second aspect is nothing but the business aspect of it. What is a business plan? Business plan from a very layman perspective is, what should I do to take this product or solution to the market? It's written in the form of a written plan. There are marketing aspects to it, there's a financial aspect to it, there's an operational aspect to it. I'll tell you what of each of those things are. Marketing involves, how do I tell that this product or solution is available for the end user? That is marketing. You would have seen on the TV, you have seen ads for Surf Excel, or you would have seen ads for Coca-Cola or Pepsi, right? You see that frequently on your TV, right? So those are all the marketing aspects. This is how they announce that, hey, I have a great product. I have Coca-Cola as a great drink, or Fanta as a great drink. That's how they advertise to the end users. So tomorrow, when you're going to the shop, you need, let's say, something to drink. That ad would have an impression on you that you remember. Let's say it is Fanta. Let's say you go to a shop, you heard about Fanta, you've seen the ad for Fanta. That is marketing aspect of it, wherein it gives information about the product or solution to the end user. Financial is nothing but, to keep it very simple, it is, how much does it cost for me to make this product? This much is the expense, X is the expense, and Y, I will send it for Y. So if Y is more than X, then I make a profit. Let us say I want to build a small moisture sensor solution. Like I think this is one of the most popular products used by ATL tinkering lab students. Right? They build a moisture sensor where the moisture sensor is placed in the various fields. So when the field is dry, it pumps water to the field. Right? So this is a simple solution, right? So let's just say for the building that moisture sensor, it cost me 1,000 rupees. So if I have to sell this, I need to sell it more than 1,000 rupees plus some other extra cost. I should probably sell it at 1,500, 1,600. So the difference between, let's say, 1,500 minus 1,500 rupees is my profit. That's all the financial aspect. Operational aspect is nothing but how to get that product. Makes I made one product, how to make 10 of these products, and how to take these products, and what are the logistics or the supply part of it to take this product to the market to sell it. That's the operational aspect of it. So this all these things in a single document or in a single structure is called business plan. That is what a business plan is in very simple terms. Business model is the same thing as the business plan, but it just shows all of them in a pictorial fashion. And how do I generate money from this? That is basically, I'm trying to keep it very simple. The business model is how do I generate revenue for, revenue means money or income from selling this product or solution. And how do I capture that value? A business model can consider it same as a business plan. There are four main things in a business model. The first is a value proposition, means what is the value I am providing to the end user. So for example, let's take the moisture sensor example. It's very popular among Atal Tinkering Lab students. So what's the value I'm providing to the farmer? The farmer doesn't need to switch on and off the tank for the pump for putting water in the fields. Whenever the fields are dry, pump will turn on automatically. The water goes out in the field. When the water comes to a certain extent and it is wet, pump turns off. So the farmer doesn't have to take the pain of switching on, switching off, going to the field, checking the field is dry. That's a very good value proposition for the farmer. That's very key important aspect. Second aspect is what are the key resources? What are the key things to make that solution work? So key resources are all the things that are needed to make the moisture sensor work. It could be, the technical part of it. It could be the engineer who's building that solution. It could be those aspects which are part of key resources. Key processes would be, designing, building that solution, making it very technically strong. And then it could also mean how to take this product to the market. All those aspects will come under the key processes. And eventually the profit, which we discussed. Basically, I want to sell this for 1,500 rupees. It took me 1,000 rupees to make this. The 500 rupees is the profit that I will get. So the next slide, just quickly go through the various things. So value proposition, like we discussed, is something which helps the customer solve a fundamental problem. If you remember, we start this presentation is with what is the problem that is being solved. That is where design thinking comes in to figure out what that problem is. So this is the very first thing on the business model. So are you delivering value to the end user? That is value proposition. I would say this is like one of the most important aspects. We at Amrita TBI, we have a lot of startups. We also have a large university, Amrita University, and the students there are engineering students, there are MBA students. They have tons of ideas and solutions that they come to us, and we mentor all these students, right? So one of the very basic thing that we go after is what is the value proposition. And we have seen startups who succeed and do very well at Amrita TBI and also in India across the various incubators. They had a very, very strong value proposition. This is something where you actually solve a fundamental problem for that end user. Key resources. These are all the resources. So, for example, what are the key resources you heard about? You have seen Ola, you have seen Uber, right? So there are physical resources, financial resources, intellectual and human. So Ola is a big, Ola, the cab, they have a big technical infrastructure, which is, planning the cars, how they design the cars. The car should come to the specific house at this specific times. As an end user, you would say, I would like to, let's say you're in Bangalore, for example. You would say, I'm right now in Wilson Garden. I need to reach MG Road, for example. I'm just giving an example, right? So that mapping and figuring out where to pick up the customer from and where to drop him. This involves a lot of algorithm in the back end and lot of technical infrastructure that that goes into it. So that becomes a key resource for Ola, right, or Uber. So anything that is key for making the business run are the key resources. Key processes. So these are the processes that have maximum impact on the success of an organization. What is the most important thing, that will have? Like, for example, you're looking at railways, right? There are certain processes. How do I ensure that there are no two trains coming on the same track? So there's intelligence used on the railways, right? So that processes which are involved to ensure that runs correctly. It's a key process. How do I ensure what are the key processes for Ola, for example? There are certain key processes that at Ola also to ensure that the driver arrives at the specific location, picks up the end user, and drops him at the X destination. So all things that will have maximum impact on the success of an organization are key processes. So, for example, in let's say the going back to the moisture sensor, building that final product of the final moisture sensor and delivering to the end user. So those are all key processes that come into play. Profit formula, I think this is we have already covered. This revenue minus expenses is your profit formula. You want to maximize your profit or profit margin, and profit should not be considered as a bad thing. That profit that you earn from the sale of those products or solutions can be reused in the company for building better and more innovative products and solutions. The purpose of a business is actually to generate profit from the business. Just stop here for a few seconds and let me see if Srirag has joined.
I'm here.
Srirag, you're there? Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay.
Would you like to take the next
So,
two slides?
yes, if you can control the slide for me, that would be great.
Sorry?
If you can control the slide for me, that would be
Yeah,
great.
sure. I'll do that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. So we have seen a bit about the business model of the design thinking. So my next part is about the business model. I mean, like for the business model, there is a tool called business model canvas. It's basically a tool. It's just like you have some sort of tool for making something, right? Just like that. You have to ensure that all the components of business model is captured in one sheet of paper so that everyone can understand it very well and everyone can contribute to that. So that is the concept of business model. So let's see what are the components of the business model canvas. So there are 9 building blocks for the business model canvas. The most important thing is the customer segment. So what you can see there is the customer is the king. Always we used to say that, we used to hear a lot that customer is the king. Whatever we are offering, if there is a customer, then only we'll get a business, we'll get a revenue. So we'll have to see whom we are going to sell the product or the service which we are going to offer. Basically, for we are giving the value and who are the most important customers. So all these details are captured in the segment customer segment. Next slide, please. Second most important thing is the value proposition. So what we are offering to customer is the value proposition. We have seen the value proposition. So, for example, there was a slide before about the value proposition, and there was an Indigo Airlines thing. What could be the most important value proposition of Indigo Airlines? Let's say it can be. They used to say being on time is a wonderful thing. That means time is a value proposition. It's so fast in the sense like The processes are curated in such a way that they will eliminate the loss of time so that we can simply get into a plane and fly. The turnaround time they tend to reduce. The time needed for a passenger to check in, board the aircraft, and change and to get out is very less. So that is the thing. Everything is time bound. So that is the most value proposition. So value proposition is for what the customers pay. Okay. So value proposition is something which we are offering to the customer. So that is the second building block. Next slide. Next is a channel. Channel is nothing but how we are sending the value to the customer. So you can see that there is a product there. In the slide, you can see there is a product there and there is a customer there. So we'll be sending the product to customer through a channel. So let's say for something in Flipkart, I manufactured, made a very beautiful, or a tasty dish, a tasty biryani, and I want to send it to the customer over there. Who's I'm stationed in Bannerli, and I wanted to send it to a customer who is in Wilson Garden in Bangalore. So how can I sell it? I can sell it through. I can ask the customer to come and buy it from my shop, right? That is a direct channel. Or I can utilize some other partners like Swiggy or something. I can send it through online. That is the channel. So channel is a way how we are sending the value to the customer. There are different methods of channels. There are channel partners who can help with that. The next slide. Next is customer relationship. Customer relationship is just how we ensure that we hear back from the customer. So it is just like an anti-clockwise cycle. So the value transfers to customer through the channel, and the feedback of the customer will get through the customer relationship. So we get we take a Uber ride, and how we are giving the feedback, we'll give a star rating for the driver, right? So that is some sort of feedback. Sometimes they will ask for a small survey. As soon as you finish the thing, they'll call and ask whether the ride was okay or something, and they will take for a few surveys. And if we have complaints, they will reduce. They will address that one. So that those are the things of customer relationship channel. So the customer relationships are important because then we will understand what how the customer's needs are changing and whether the customers are happy with the product or service or not. So this is like a like a cycle. Value proposition through the channels it will transfer to customer, and from the customer we'll learn about more value or more needs, more problems which we need to address through the customer relationship. Next slide, please. Now the revenue stream is what we'll see how the customers are paying. So sometimes their customer will not be paying directly for the product. Sometimes they'll be paying only rent. Sometimes they will purchase and keep it. Sometimes we'll get revenue through some other stream. For example, you won't be paying for WhatsApp, using WhatsApp, right? But there are indirect way of getting revenue from WhatsApp. So from the customers, because they have a lot of customers in WhatsApp, they have a lot of access to a lot of customer data. They can utilize this data and study the data and give and get some insights. These insights can be sold to some other companies and get something.
So sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is coming a little muffled. Can you fix it?
Is it okay now?
Yes, it is better.
Okay. Sorry, I was just adjusting the headset. That's right. Okay. So revenue streams is how are the channels which will get the revenue from the customer. That is the revenue stream. Whether it is through rent, whether it is through purchase, or is it through some sort of annual maintenance, or whichever the way we are getting revenue. That is the revenue stream. That is the fifth block of the business model canvas. Next slide, please. Now, so far we have seen the customer facing side of the business model canvas. Let's see what is in the background. I mean, what is behind the stage. So behind the stage, we have key resources. We have lots of assets and things which we'll utilize to create value. So those are called the resources. Sometimes we have infrastructure, machinery, patents. We have key people who have expertise. For example, for a hotel, it is qualified chef is a resource, right? Such people. And if it is for a high-tech company, maybe patents or R&D, all these things are resources. So these resources are the assets which will add on to the value, which will generate value. Next slide, please. Next is the key activity. What are the activities which the company undertakes in order to create the value? For example, what is the key activities of Indian Railways? Key activity of Indian Railway is basically running trains. Ensure that the uh, uh, the 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 passenger trains and goods trains are running on time safely. So the key activities include ensuring the trains are running on time, operating the train, maintenance of tracks, maintenance of locomotives, maintenance of the coaches, cleanliness of the coaches, all these things, ensuring there is water, there is diesel, there is electricity, all these things are key activities. To ensure the value proposition, that means connectivity for people is happening. So those are the key activities. Next slide. And key partners are the people who are helping us to get these things done. So for each and everything, there are partners. One person cannot, say in airlines that one pilot cannot land an aircraft. It is always a combined effect of a lot of two pilots and a crew, and also a ground staff to ensure that the aircraft is running safely. So this is similar for a business also. We cannot run a business by ourselves. We need partners. Sometimes partners will be people who will give some sort of resources to us. Sometimes they will be some extra parties who will help us to reduce the cost. So these are called partners. Also, there are raw material suppliers. All these guys are partners. What they give, what are their activities, all these things will be capturing in the partners field in the business model canvas. Next slide, please. And the last part is the cost structure. We have to see what are all the how much cost is incurred in order to make the product or service. That means in the cost of manufacturing, how much cost is involved in the selling of this particular value or value proposition to the customer. That is called cost of sales. So we have to see that one also. So in the customer facing front, that is the front end, it is the revenue, and at the back end, it is the cost. So that will give almost that this combination of 9 blocks will give you an exact picture of how a business model looks like. Next slide, please. See, this is a nice big picture of the business. There is a value proposition in the middle, and it's the customer in the extreme end. And the value proposition travels to customers to channel, and the customer relationships are help to engage the company and the customers. And there is a revenue stream which ensures that how much revenue or how the revenue is getting from flowing from customer to the company. Also, the resources which will help in generating the value proposition, the activities which will help in generating the value proposition, the partners who will help in utilizing activities and resources to generate value proposition, and the cost involved in that one. Next slide. So when we add all these things together, next slide, please. So when we add all these things together, this is like a big tool. And next slide. And this tool we can download. There are a lot of templates available in Google. If you search for business model canvas in the in the Google. There are a lot of templates available. All you have to do is that sit down with your team and write them. Try to fill it up. Or you can do is just draw it on a big whiteboard, get some sticky notes, and place your suggestions. Brainstorm with your team and place your suggestions there. And which are all the things make a value, make a meaning of make sense, that will remain there, and do the iteration as much as possible so that we'll get a clear business model canvas. So I think I'll hand over to Dr. Snehal from here.
Okay, thanks, Srirag. So now tying back, we started with design thinking, we talked about business, then we talked about business model innovation, right? So now tying this all things together. So on the left-hand side, we have the design thinking, and on the right-hand side, we have the business model. So the design thinking and steps that you do under design thinking acts as a feed to build a great business model. Now, how do we look at business model generation through design thinking? Number one is discovery. So what you need to do over here is you should talk to customers and understand their needs. And solving customers' needs is a key to a successful business. This becomes the very, very first step to build a successful business model. Look at the customer, understand the steps he takes. If you see, traditionally, in all across India, before Ola and the Ubers came, we had to walk up to a place, to an auto stand or to a taxi stand. If you're in Bombay, like, you have to walk up to that place, then tell the person that you're interested in going to a specific destination. Maybe you may need to haggle with him, for price. He may say, 100 rupees, and you will say, no, it is 70 rupees. You need to do all of those things, and then you would sit in an auto, and then that auto driver will take you to destination. So, so that whole process is solved by Uber and Ola, right? So they looked at the customer journey and they found that what frustrated the customer, what delights the customer. Right now, if I need to know, I need to go from point A to point B, I click on my app, open my app on my phone, figure out where the destination, put in my destination. It tells me the amount that will be charged. The car comes at my doorstep. I get in the car and I'm taken to my destination. The money is already deducted from my credit card, or I pay the person directly. There's no question of the whole process of sitting and haggling, finding an auto, maybe not finding an auto, or finding, or it's an issue in the middle of it. All those issues are solved because that problem was solved at the crux of it, right? Uber solved this many years back in the US, and this issue was not only in India. This issue was present in US and across the world. That is how Uber went on to become a big unicorn and it went IPO, right? So this is how a problem is solved. Uber built a very successful business model because they empathized, they discovered the customer need. So this is the very first pain point that they solved. Second thing that an Uber or any other company will do is define. Look at the data. Once you go and talk to users, you find this is what I need to solve. Then you define in clear terms what that problem is. You articulate, create a compelling problem definition that this is the problem and I have so many users who need it to be solved. If you have only one user who has the problem or two users who has the problem, then that is not a viable business opportunity. You need to have so many users who need the solution. For example, the moisture sensor is needed so much across the various fields in India. It's really a problem that can be solved using a moisture sensor, right? Or generating electricity for children in Africa. Like the first example, we had the socket football, right? That is a very viable solution because there is no electricity in Africa. So, and kids love to play football. It's a very simple, elegant solution. Third step is ideation. For the same problem, that can be 10 different solutions. So you need to sit with your team members and brainstorm to figure out what is the most effective solution. And this could be just 2 of you or 3 of you, or it could be your ATL Tinkering Lab school teacher who's with you. It could be the mentor of that school. That's fine. And it will be just a 4 to 5 of you who think that this is the right solution. But again, that may not be the solution that the customer wants. That may not be the solution that your end user wants. That may not be the solution that the farmer wants, because it's not you who is going to use that product. It's the farmer who is going to use the product. It's not you who is going to sit and search for a cab in, let's say, in Delhi, or whether it is Bangalore or wherever it is, Calcutta, right? It's an end user. It has to be useful for him. It has to solve his problem. So that leads to the next step, which is basically testing it and building a prototype. So you build a prototype and then you test that solution. Take a few set of users. Maybe you test this with 100 users, or maybe you don't have 100 farmers. Test with 4 to 5 farmers. See if they like what you proposed. They may. It is really great if they like it the very first shot. The chances of them liking a solution at the very first shot is minimal, because you would not have understood not only the problem and the solution you're building, but there's so many other factors that come into picture. So those things will help you when you do the prototype and testing. You build a small prototype, test it with the end users, and you experiment it. And what you would do is you would go back and build a better product. The farmer would say, hey, I don't really care, that you are building a very fancy Wi-Fi for me, so I don't have current here. I can't use Wi-Fi. I don't have a smartphone. I just use SMS. And you would have built a very great solution for moisture sensor using a Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi solution. But he doesn't have a Wi-Fi network. Most of the time, he may not even have current there. So what's the solution? An SMS is a solution. So to tell the farmer, field pump has turned on, pump has turned off. That would be a solution which the farmer can use. So that's how the solution that you're going to give to the farmer, that will continuously iterate and get better and get better. It's a concept called as lean startup. Maybe you all can check up what that lean startup model is. That is an auxiliary to this business model canvas, which will help you to build great innovative solutions for your community around you. And that, once it becomes big, that becomes a great business model. And tomorrow it could be a great company that comes out of India. So we talked about this slide where the solution you build is not going to be the final solution. So you will keep, so these arrows you see, these dotted lines you see, the solution coming back to empathizing, to defining, ideating. There are so many loops of this. You run through so many iterations till you build the final successful product that the end user wants. All I have. We are open to questions. Thanks for listening to us. We try to keep it as simple as possible, so that it doesn't seem too complicated. Um, uh, this is how you can reach Amrita TBI, and we are open to questions now. Over to you, Naba. Hello, Naba.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do
Okay.
have a couple of questions. I'll take the first question. So a student is asking, can we make a small digital business that does not have partners?
Um, yes, sure. A small digital business. I don't know what he's specifically, the specific thing in his mind, but yes, you can definitely start a small business, digital business. You could we have small digital e-commerce businesses where let's say you have certain goods that you want to sell online, very well and fine. You could be just a one-man show doing it, but if you want to make it big and make it and you want to expand it, then you would need partners to help you in that process. Sheila, please free to add in whatever.
Adding to that, even if you are selling it online, the channel which we are selling online, we will be a partner, online partner. It means like if you are developing and writing a code and publishing it through GitHub or something, that GitHub is a channel partner. So I'm just, I don't know whether that example is correct. Even if we are selling somehow, even if we are selling through Play Store, an application we are selling through Play Store or App Store, that will be a partner. So partner doesn't mean that somebody will always come and write an agreement or something. There should be some sort of indirect agreement, but all these things somebody will be always helping. So no need to close your mind in such a way that we don't want any partners. There's nothing wrong. Somebody will be always helping.
Right. Thank you, sir. One student is also asking, can you just share more information about revenue for a business model or for a business?
Sheila, going to take that?
Revenue, as I said before, there are different sources of, there are different streams of revenue. Sometimes you will, for example, if you are making a software and you are selling it to a customer. So sometimes there won't be, the software will be, sorry about that, something in the road. Okay. Sometimes you will be posting that software in the Play Store or App Store or some sort of app store. People can download and use it for free. But if they wanted to use a premium version or premium features of that, then they will have to pay. For example, most video games are like that, right? So in that condition, it will be something like a premium model. Sometimes you will have to make a one-time payment and purchase the application. So you can use it for life now. That is just a direct sale. And sometimes, you can use it for a certain period of time, maybe for 1 year or 2 years. And after that, if you wanted to add, you can further, buy that, further purchase by paying some amount. And if it is a hardware product, sometimes the hardware products, there are two types of revenue. One is that at the time of sale, you can get the revenue. I mean, you can get the amount you can get the money from the customer, and then you can even charge annual maintenance. That means like in a periodic time, either once in a year or once in 6 months or something, you can send a person to maintain that one and get a maintenance cost. So like that, several revenue streams are there. Always ensure that the revenue should be, the revenue which we earn should be, further aim, the ultimate aim is that you should make profit. That means the revenue should be greater than the expense. So that plan is what the ultimate business model which you are trying to, achieve. Said it correctly.
Right. Thank you, sir. The next question that we have is, are there any business model tools that the students should know about at their age since they are in school?
The question is, are there any business models that the students should know since they are in school? Is that the question?
So business model tools so that they can use to create a business model.
So the business model canvas that we showed is a great tool. Very simple, only 9 blocks. It's a great tool that can be used as a starting point to build a great business model. There are 9 key aspects in that, and you, like Sriraj mentioned, you draw it on a whiteboard or draw it on your paper, and then put in points over there. Discuss with the team. Use it for brainstorming. And this canvas is easily available on the internet. There is the author of this canvas has written a great the best-selling books on business. He's written that is called Business Model Generation. So that is an excellent tool. So this tool is so simple, even students can use it. It is complex enough that you could put the whole Google's business model on this canvas and make sense of it. So I think business model canvas is a great tool that students can use. And there are a lot of materials on when you go and search on Google. You just search for business model canvas, click on images, and you will see this is used all across the world, right? You will see examples of Google's business model. For example, let's say you're interested in digital business, you will see Google's business model. If you're interested in drinks business, like like the beverage industry, right? So you can see Coca-Cola's business model, you can see Pepsi's business model, you can see an e-commerce business like an Amazon. How do they operate? How do they do it, right? Because what we as students we see is we see Amazon.in is a great website. I want to buy something, I can go to the website. I want to buy books, and I can go to Amazon.in and get the books or whatever I need, right? But how do they operate in the back end? By looking at all these business model canvases of all these great companies, you will learn quite a bit. How does Tata Motors, build their cars, right? What is the business behind Tata Motors? Or what is the business model of Infosys? And how is it different? Infosys business model different than that is a Wipro's business model. So these things you can all see with examples if you go and search in Google for specific business model canvases.
Right, thank you, sir. So this was quite an informative session. Before we close the session, I would just like to know any parting thoughts, any closing thoughts from you both, sir, Dr. Snehal and Mr. Rajan, for our students. Any advice?
Amrita TBI is an EIC. It's an incubator under AIM Niti Aayog. So we are here as part of our journey in the innovation journey and supporting startups and students. We are present to help students. So if anyone has any specific issues or specific questions they want, please feel free to send it to us, and we'll be happy to help you. And we have kept this, though this is a very complicated topic for young children, we try to keep it as simple as possible. But you can use this for the ones who are more interested. You can use this as a starting ground for you to go and search and learn more about what other resources are present on the internet. And this can be as complicated as you have, or as detailed, or as you can use it as a great brainstorming tool that you can use to learn and evolve your current solution or thinking that you have on business models. But you're free to reach out to us. Sheila, like to add?
Yeah, even though it is a complicated topic, but it was, previously when we had interactions with the ATL students, it was, I would say that was a wonderful session. They gave I had an opportunity to use a business model canvas in a whiteboard, and that was a very good time I had. That was a very good experience for me as well. So it's not something very complicated, but if you understand it well, you can easily do that. So there, as Dr. Snehal mentioned, there are a lot of examples in the business model canvas and design thinking available in Google. Just search, read yourself, and just take, for example, just search for business model of Geo, business model of Nescafe. You'll see a lot of things, and it's very good, very interesting. And make use of these tools. You can make the business just like that. It's very beautiful, and we are happy to help. If you need anything, please reach out to us. We are happy to help.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Atal Innovation Mission team, I would like to thank you both for joining us today for such an engaging and interesting session. To the ATL students, teachers, and mentors, I invite all of you for the next session of the Tinkerpreneur series on entrepreneurial mindset, on Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Till then, keep tinkering, keep entrepreneuring. Thank you so much for joining for today's session.